I'm Teresa Carraggio, and this is Third Paradigm. The phrase that I coined, tonic masculinity, has gone viral. Without me, of course. It is now part of the Washington Post. It is taking the Twitter universe by storm. It's become the campaign identity of that amorphous blob, Tim Walz, who no one actually knows what to make of. Why do we need a president who actually has policies? It's good enough that he's a nice guy and knows how to talk about gutters and fix your bicycle. So with all of that, I started researching, did any of this trace back to me? And in the process of that, I found out that my phrase was stolen by Charles fucking Eisenstein, who the derivation is clear because I coined it on his blog, on his essay where he liked it, where it was the top comment with 106 likes. So there is no disguising where he got that from. Let's look at this. Matthew Crawford sent a note saying, "Did you see this?" And attached was a Medium newsletter that was called Tonic Masculinity, an antidote to the toxic kind. It read, "The first time I heard the phrase tonic masculinity, I thought it was a typo. I'm so used to hearing about the toxic variety, about which there are 2,800 stories on Medium, that my brain couldn't compute another T word in that phrase. And no, tonic masculinity does not describe dudes who like gins and tonics. That's a different newsletter. The term recently cropped up on X and Threads to encapsulate VP candidate Tim Walz's demeanor. He fixed your bicycle. He knows about gutters. To many people, he represents a mode of masculinity that is confident but not domineering, helpful but not smarmy. According to gender equity researcher Amy Deal, that's tonic masculinity. Being supportive and husbandly. Tonic means vigorous and refreshing. It also means the first note of a musical scale or a song's home key, the part of a song that sounds like a relief. Brand strategist Nancy Friedman dug around for the term's origins, and I was shocked by this. Apparently, it made its first appearance on Medium back in 2020, when a leadership coach wrote about how men can embrace, instead of reject or suppress, traditionally masculine archetypes like king, warrior, and magician. I don't see tonic masculinity as a political term. To me, it feels more like a cultural one. For the last decade, culture has fixated on what makes a dude bad without defining what can make him good. Julius Bridgeforth defines it as expressivity, being effusive and zesty in support of people they love, instead of stoic and silent. It's really just an energy of genuinely caring about other humans. So, the term that I coined has been usurped again. First, it was Jay Rollins, John Carter, Harrison Coley, Luke Cook, William Hunter Duncan, Doc Hammer, Mark Bazone, Grant Smith, and Daniel D., who all changed its meaning to what I considered toxic, and I'll link those episodes at the end. Now it's been turned at a left angle and used by the he-him moderators at Medium and WaPo and a Twitter poster who uses the name Axe Lizzie and has a thumbnail of a woman with a bloody slash across her face. They are using it to give character to that blob of a personality named Walz, a political slogan for those who the so-called tonic men are completely against. There really should be a word for this. Let's see. How about poetic injustice? Quick, put a hashtag on that. There. Now let's look at Charles fucking Eisenstein. For those who are new, I first posted a comment with this phrase on a thread in response to Charles's November 27th, 2022 post called I Like to Fight. He concluded, I heard about one of America's all too common mass shootings, the Aurora Theater shooting of 2012. 4 of the men who died there died because they interposed their bodies between their girlfriends and the shooter. That is a core aspect of masculinity. Each man here has it in him to do that. Each man here would offer his life to protect what he loves, to protect life itself. The fact that many men, including ourselves, have often failed miserably to live up to that potential does not make it untrue. It is who we really are, and our purpose here is to bring this, our true nature, into full manifestation. And in that response, I wrote, this does my heart good. I think we need a world that puts children at the center, surrounded by women, surrounded by men. Tonic masculinity. It was liked by Charles and 105 other people with enthusiastic replies that go the length of the first page, including Jay Rollins saying stealing that, which he has since deleted. Charles pinned a note just above it, since it was the top comment, saying how touched he was by all of the lovely comments. And then, when I just did a YouTube search on hashtag Tonic Masculinity, I found that Charles fucking Eisenstein stole my term. His March 2024 interview on the Engendering Love Summit is called Tonic Masculinity, Initiation into Healthy Manhood. Charles says, at 3:31, there's also a masculine element of generosity that even goes to the point of the greatest gift possible of self-sacrifice that I came to think about this after one of the mass shootings in our country. It was the Aurora Theater shooting, where somebody went into the premiere of Batman and just started open fire and killed quite a number of people. 4 of the people who died because they put themselves in the path of the bullet on purpose. For men did that to protect their wives or girlfriends. And there's this primal, this is the light aspect of the warrior archetype. You know that the shadow aspect is killing the light aspect, is I'm willing to die to protect what I love. What I love is more important than I am myself. I am a being with his own service to offer the world. And at 4:37 he says, and that is the essence of what I would like to call tonic masculinity. At 7:02 he says, why I think it's so important to reclaim it and to reframe it as tonic. And I'm reading that from the transcript. So masculine generosity and self-sacrifice means stealing the ideas of women and passing them off as your own. And while we're at it, do we really believe that 4 men in Aurora threw themselves in front of a speeding bullet so that it didn't hit their girlfriend? And is that like that Salvadoran prison that his friend sent him photos of that were later turned out to be AI generated, for which he backpedaled? There is this theme of self-sacrifice, like his animated story, where people are throwing themselves into a black hole so that the new world can be born. That is not anything that I see as tonic, which means healing, not stealing. I sent a reply explaining my genesis of that term to that article, and Tony Stubblebine, he, him, replied, "Hi, Teresa, we're always interested in the origin of ideas and phrases. Am I understanding correctly that you started using this phrase in 2023? Are you able to trace that usage all the way to the current application to Tim Walz? I'm curious mainly because it seems possible that there may be multiple independent inventions of this phrase. It appeared first in Medium in 2020. As I currently understand your comment, you coined it independently in 2023, and then it's showing up again lately in reference to Tim Walz, which could be a third independent invention of this term. I answered, "Hi, Tony, and thanks for responding. I coined the phrase, to my knowledge, which is only to say that I didn't get it from somewhere else, on November 27, 2022, on Charles Eisenstein's thread where it got 106 likes and was the top comment. On January 15, 2023, I did my first episode with it in the title, which was Tonic Masculinity and Feminine Wiles. As I'm researching this for my article, I noticed that the 2020 Medium article uses hashtag Tonic Masculinity in its meme. When I do a search on that, I come up with a 2019 article from the Theology of the Body Institute, the same as Christopher West when he posts the Jordan Peterson use of it on YouTube. So it seems that this originated on a Catholic anti-porn site. It seems possible the work environment author got it from that Tobin Institute since the timing is soon after and they both use the hashtag. With Merlene having only 2 followers on Medium, I really doubt that she caused it to go viral 4 years later. Then another Medium moderator, J. Love, wrote, "Hello, Teresa. The earliest use of the term tonic masculinity that I could find was in a 2-part article published on October 5th and November 2nd, 2021, by Miles Groth in the newsletter from the Center for Male Psychology," and he posts the link. In this search, there was referenced an article published in 2020 here on Medium by a leadership coach, though without any link to it. So this leaves the readers of your comment a bit confused. If this uncorroborated reference is to one of your articles, could you please provide a link to it? I answered, "Hi, Jay, and thanks for providing those links. In my dispute with the Tonic 7, who had taken my term and changed the meaning, they did a search and said, 'Aha, someone used it before you,' but the line of derivation was clear with them. So it's not actually the first use of the phrase, since ideas emerge in many places spontaneously. It's whether there's a line tracing it back. The gap between the 2020 article on work environments with 2 likes and no comments seems to me an unlikely source, as does an academic article from 2021. Certainly, Miles Groth coined the term for his use of it, but I can't see Christopher West, the next use of it, reading Miles Groth. He's opposite to his perspective. The first use of the term regarding Walz is Axe Lizzie on X. Has anyone asked her if she made it up or heard it somewhere? I'm not on X, so I can't ask myself. I'd just be curious. Lizzie Borden took an axe. The earliest use of hashtag tonic masculinity regarding Walz is Axe Lizzie, who also goes by Brain Mist on B-Sky Social with the same disturbing thumbnail. If that is a she, since it's obviously not the real name and not the real thumbnail. A search there shows that they first posted with that hashtag 10 months ago in November 2023. So a year after my first use of it, and a couple dozen videos, articles, and interviews that were generated by it. Her first mention is, "The positive counterpoint of toxic masculinity isn't anti-masculinity, as the fragile man-boys would insist. It's not misandry. That's such a myth. It's hashtag tonic masculinity. Masculinity that heals, comforts, supports, makes safe, never threatens, sustains, nurtures." And there are so many examples. Other examples she gives go back to November 2023 as the heroes pulling babies out of the wreckage of Palestine, then trying to make the babies laugh even as they're crying. and Patrick Stewart as Captain Picard in his bromance with Ian McKellen. The rest all refer to Walz. So Axe Lizzie may well have come up with this phrase, as I did, spontaneously. But by that time, there were a dozen authors each, with thousands or tens of thousands of followers who were using it on social media that all trace back to me. And I still think it's a term to which I gave meaning and used it to capture something that is missing in our world. And I don't think that Tim Walz, Jordan Peterson, the Tonic 7, or Charles fucking Eisenstein are representing that quality by slapping it on like a false label. The content is still poison. Then on thirdparadigm.substack.com, I've linked all of the episodes that I've done on this theme, tonic masculinity, in reverse order. So they start with where things had completely blown up with the gang who took it. And that is called Toxic Masculinity by Any Other Name, and goes through their reactions. Maybe I should steal Charles Eisenstein's name of I Like to Fight. These are pretty entertaining. And then there is the twisting of tonic masculinity, and where I go through how it all started and how they have used it to flip the script and represent domination, superiority, aggression, violence, and misogyny as tonic, with serial killers who go a bit too far, and feminized men as toxic. And they did an interview called The Bro Pill, which is still the second link on hashtag tonic masculinity under YouTube. Then I did The Tonic Gnostic, which was on Luke Cook, and looking at religion and what is a woman, extrasensory perception, Gnostic liberation, red-pilled in Disneyland, and the nature of good and evil. Rudolf Steiner appears in two places at once. David Graeber argues with Lobaczewski on whether psychopaths are made or born. Before that, I did Sacred Masculine on William Hunter Duncan, who really does embody my concept of tonic masculinity. And he says real men have skills, something I've quoted often. Then I went to Men and Women and the Tonic Tilt, and that was about John Carter of Postcards from Barsoom and his post on tonic masculinity. And I asked 4 questions. Is the soul of a woman different than the soul of a man? Is sexuality polarized? When men bond in a common project, what should be their goal? And can't we just like each other? And then the first one I did in response to them was Tonic Masculinity and the Mad Hatter, which looks at Jay Rollins and the whole series of posts that they had put out. But then I had done on my own, before I knew about that, Tonic Masculinity and Feminine Wiles. And in that one, I look at Rob Bresney's free will astrology, from which I was banned for 100 years for saying that I didn't think men should define feminine intelligence. So for those who want to jump into the fray, here is Toxic Masculinity by Any Other Name, and this is the playlist on tonic and toxic masculinity. Thank you for watching.